always pause an extra moment here and just make sure everybody made it out of the alleyway that I led you down at dusk in an unfamiliar city. But so far, so good. We've all survived. Speaking of survival, be very careful with 4th Street right behind you there. It is a little bit, it can be fierce, so just make sure you're leaving a little room between yourself and the edge of the sidewalk, as there's really no barrier. The traffic can be right behind you like this one coming here. No new ghosts, remember? So one evening I'm leading my tour group around. We start down Cypress Street, the lovely little alleyway there, and as we pass those historic homes at the other end, which are private homes now, one of the gentlemen who lives there comes out, he sees me with my lantern and says, "Hey, is this a ghost tour?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You have to take them to the Hill Physic House. There are bodies in the basement of that house." This is the house he was talking about, the Hill Physic House, so named because it was built for a wine merchant named Mr. Hill back in the mid-1700s. It is an original home. Mr. Hill died this year of yellow fever in 1798, but it's not his ghost who we believe haunts these hallways. Bless you. There are ghosts haunting these hallways, according to the historic caretakers who reside in an apartment here in this home. In fact, sometimes as we make our way down Cypress Street, they will slide the window open and yell, "Boo!" at us out the window. So they do have a sense of humor about living in a haunted house. I don't know how well that sense of humor holds up when they get up to go to the bathroom at night and they walk into the hallway just in time to see a shadowy figure exiting around the opposite corner of the hallway. Or when they're in a second floor room of this house where there's a big ornate fireplace and it's a hot night like tonight, and suddenly they begin to feel an icy breeze making its way out of that fireplace where the flue has been sealed shut for decades. Surely these are eerie experiences, but folks decide to live here and dedicate their lives to caring for this beautiful home nonetheless, and we're glad they do, so that they can make these experiences known to us. I don't know if the caretakers here have found any bodies in the basement. I know the neighbors believe that there are some, and the reason for that is the man whose name you see here on the plaque, Philip Singh Physic. Dr. Physic moves into this home in 1815. Dr. Physic is known as the father of American surgery, the first person to perform surgery on human beings here in the United States. He practiced at Pennsylvania Hospital, our nation's oldest hospital. It's over on Pine Street, just a few blocks to the southwest of where we are now. And the whole time Dr. Physic is practicing at Pennsylvania Hospital, and he's working here or living here in this home from 1815 until his death here in the house in 1837. He has a laboratory here on the premises where he continues to do his medical research, making many contributions to the field. The laboratory is located in the basement. But people said that when Philip was young, he originally hadn't even wanted to be a doctor. He had gone to medical school mostly to please his father, and people who knew him said that it was when he went to study abroad in London that he really changed his tune and really took to the study of human anatomy, because there, instead of studying only from textbooks, he begins to learn the intricacies of the human body by doing dissections on human cadavers. Now, of course, in the present day, they do medical research using human cadavers to discover new ways of treating injuries and illness. But in the present day, they get those cadavers from people who have made out a will and donated their body to medical research after they're dead. That practice was not popularized until much later in the late 1800s. So during the time when Dr. Physic was practicing, where were they getting those cadavers? Well, I was pretty shocked to find this out, but there was quite a thriving practice of grave robbing in Philadelphia in the time of the 1700s and into the early 1800s when Dr. Physic was practicing. And grave robbers learned that while they previously could sell jewelry that they may have stolen that bodies had been buried with, they learned that if they could snatch a whole fresh body right back out of the grave an hour or so after it had been placed there, they could sell it off to the highest bidder to be used in medical research experiments. And it's widely believed that if your body was used this way without your permission after your death, this would be a reason that would cause your spirit to be unsettled and to linger about the places where you had been brought. We don't know with 100% certainty that Dr. Physic brought his work home with him in the form of using human cadavers in his research here at the home. We have reason to believe he may have, including the particular equipment that was found in his basement laboratory at the time of his death. But whether it's true or not, this is the reason why the locals believe there are bodies in the basement. Although I don't know that the bodies would have been left in the basement, because I know Dr. Physic raised his 4 children here in this home as well. The 4 kids grew up quite happily here by all accounts. And I'm thinking if you're raising your 4 children here in the house, you wouldn't leave human bodies lying about. You'd be more likely to bury them someplace when you were finished with them. And if you had a large private grounds behind your home, that's likely where they would end up. So I always think about that as I lead my groups past that playground back there behind the house, and maybe I see a swing stirring just slightly when there's no one around, or I see a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the playground, or I come by and the venue has been rented out for a wedding and people are dancing the night away back there in the courtyard. I always wonder if they know what lies below. Well, my friends, we have a couple more stops on our tour tonight. Speaking of what lies below, we are going to go in search of some of the bodies here